Hello cruel world, my name is Dr. Shaham Das. I'm a consultant forensic psychiatrist and I live and work in London. I'm also the host of a Psych for Sore Minds. So this video is about why people commit crimes. So I'm not talking about individual factors, because I've already done a video on that, go check it out, but I'm talking about broader societal constructs. So the first thing I'd say is that people make rational decisions most of the time. So the average criminal will weigh up the risks versus the benefits, which might be completely different from the life you and I live. So for example, if somebody's life is so bad, so unstable, they might not mind going to prison. And if they need money really badly, they might be willing to commit that armed robbery. And they've calculated the risks and benefits in their heads. The other thing I'd say is that not all people always act rationally when it comes to crime. So good examples might be somebody who reacts in rage during an argument and ends up killing somebody, or somebody that's like high on crack, so they're completely disinhibited, or they need money so they can feed their habit. The other relevant factor is somebody's individual values might be different from the rest of society's. So a good example would be if you've got like a high level gang member from say South London, they might kill an op to try and raise their status within their gang. Then there's the social disorganisation theory, which is basically about the environment around you. So if you come from a really rough neighbourhood where there's really poor schools, high unemployment, lots of drugs, say in America, booze and gun stores, we don't have gun stores in the UK, but just an environment which is broken, then everybody in that environment is more likely to commit crime and also to be a victim of crime. So another theory which is kind of connected is called the strain theory, which is that everybody wants the same kind of things in life. They want money, they want success, they want like stability, but some people have less opportunity. So living in the kind of neighbourhoods I was talking about, a lack of a role model. So because of that, because of the stress and the strain of that, they're willing to take shortcuts and they're willing to take risks, i.e. commit crime. Then there's social learning theory, which is basically that you learn from what you see. So if your parents, for example, or people in your household commit crime, then not only does it kind of change your moral compass, but it sort of teaches you how to commit those crimes. And if you don't have much going on at home, you might use a gang as a surrogate family and you might learn how to commit crimes from there. Then there's social control theory, which is probably my favourite theory, which is this, that crime is fun and crime is exciting, and deep down everybody has the capacity for crime. However, we have points of control, so there might be external, like our parents, school, church for example, and just living in a good neighbourhood, but you have to have strong bonds to these external controls. So if you don't, you can be surrounded by those things but still commit crimes. And there's internal controls, so our own morality, our self-esteem, our self-confidence. I'm sure all of us have been in a situation where we could have quite easily gotten away with something like steal a chocolate bar from a shop, but the vast majority of us wouldn't do that. And then there's sort of weaker kind of associations, so genetics is definitely a thing, this might surprise you, but adoption studies have shown that offspring of criminals who've been adopted are more likely to go into crime than other kids that have been adopted at the same age who don't come genetically from criminals. And also diet is a weak factor, so people that eat really badly, lots of carbs, lots of sugars, that increases the chance of other disorders like depression or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which in turn can lead to crime. So I'd just like to quickly introduce you to this channel. This is Psych for Sore Minds. I'm a consultant forensic psychiatrist. I assess mentally disordered offenders in courts and in prisons and in secure psychiatric units. This channel addresses a whole range of mental health issues. Some are related to violence and offending, like this one, and some are more familiar to the average person. I do lots of different types of vids, from interviewing ex-patients to interviewing professionals to talking about diagnoses to talking about high-profile criminal cases where there's an element of psychiatric disorder or a formal diagnosis. So what I'm trying to say is there's something for everybody on this channel. You need to watch me and you need to subscribe. The last thing I wanted to say is that everything that I'm talking about, these criminogenic factors, they're not excuses or reasons that somebody can commit crime. They're just factors that contribute to it. So I remember not so long ago when I was working in a locked forensic unit, I was having a discussion with a mental health nurse about a new patient who'd come onto the ward who'd committed a string of quite violent burglaries. And she just couldn't understand why he would commit those actions. And we had quite a heated discussion and debate about it. And what I think is that somebody's circumstances and the scenarios and the events they've been through will shape their likelihood for going into crime. But she couldn't really see that, and she just insisted that she would never commit those kind of acts. But she was able to say that because she's from a privileged background, as am I. So another way of looking at it is this: if you take 100 people from that particular man's background, a much higher proportion is likely to go in to commit those kind of crimes than if you took 100 people from that nurse's background or from my background. So that's just kind of a way that I conceptualise it. Anyway, that's enough from me. I hope to catch you next time on A Psych for Sore Minds. Stay euthymic, homies, and please remember, I love you.